Good evening to you. Great thanks for joining us. Welcome to Sunday Express. Tomorrow is a very important day for more than 2.6 million candidates who will be sitting their examinations. That is KCPE and KBC. We have details lined up for you. Here are tonight's highlights. Putting pen to paper. At least 2.6 million candidates prepare to sit for KCPE and KBC national exams beginning tomorrow.
Kuna watu wengine wananipigia makelele, mbona umeenda safari hii, mbona umeenda safari hii. Hiyo ndio kazi yangu ya rais. Mimi ndio chief agent ya Kenya.
Building allies. President William Ruto defends his foreign trips and says Kenya has signed lucrative deals with at least 27 countries. And a salute to the King. Kenya prepares to host British monarch King Charles III on his first official visit to a Commonwealth country. Byron Abuli is our sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kericho. You're very much welcome to the broadcast. To start off tonight, President William Ruto has defended the government's numerous trips out of the country, saying the trips have resulted in goodies for the country. Speaking at the ACK Diocese of Eldoret during the 40th anniversary service, the president said it was through foreign trips that his administration secured economic partnership agreements with the 27 countries that will, among others, give a farmer access to markets in North America, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. Here's our reporter Abdiaziz Hashim with the details.
How are you? Karibu Eldoret.
The head of state Sunday morning attended the ACK Diocese of Eldoret 40th anniversary service in Uasin Gishu County. It is during the church event that the commander-in-chief took the opportunity to set the record straight on his administration's numerous foreign trips.
Nilikuwa wiki iliyopita pale Saudi. Tumekubaliana na wao, wanahitaji watu wanataka kufanya kazi huko kwao, watu 1350. Na wanasema watu wa Kenya ndio wako mbele zaidi kwa bidii. So mjipange. Tuna sign bilateral labor agreement hivi karibuni. Nitarudi huko in another 3 weeks. Kuna watu wengine wananipigia makelele, mbona umeenda safari hii, mbona umeenda safari hii. Hiyo ndio kazi yangu ya rais. Mimi ndio chief agent ya Kenya. Mimi ndio ambassador ya Kenya ya kupanga vile Kenya itasonga mbele.
Ruto stated that through the trips, Kenya has secured agreements between 27 countries that will benefit farmers and realize food security in the country.
Soko ya inchi 27 mahali nilikuwa juzi. Soko ya inchi 27 za Ulaya. Tunamaliza, tunaweka mkataba ama sahihi Economic Partnership Agreement ambayo itapanua soko ya bidhaa zetu za Kenya tuweze kuuza Ulaya.
This move, the president said, will bring an end to Kenya importing maize, sugar and oil that cost the taxpayer a whopping 500 billion Kenya shillings, and Kenyan farmers will now have an opportunity to export their produce to the new international markets.
Na ni makosa sana, kwa sababu hiyo chakula yote ambayo tunatumia pesa zetu kununua kutoka kwa wakulima wengine, tunaweza kuzalisha hapa Kenya na tununue kutoka wakulima wetu.
The president said that his recent visit to Beijing sealed a deal that will see Kenyan farmers export avocado and macadamia to China. Additionally, he urged Kenyans to remain focused and optimistic that better days are ahead. Abdiaziz Hashim for Sunday Express.
In our Class 8 and Grade 6 candidates are set to start their national examinations tomorrow. Class 8 learners will sit for the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, KCPE, while grade 6 learners will sit for the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, that is KBC. Both exams will begin Monday, October 30th, and end on Wednesday, November 1st. Candidates sitting these exams will start with mathematics in the morning session and later sit English paper in the afternoon. As Frederick Presayo reports, this year's national examination has attracted a total of 3,604,972 candidates.
Isha is among the 1.4 million candidates who will sit for the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, KCPE, beginning tomorrow. The Class 8 candidate says he is well prepared for the examinations. Evelyn, who schools at St. Teresa Primary School in Changamwe, Mombasa County, noted that at home she has been exempted from doing house chores so that she has more time in her hands to revise for her examinations.
Mimi sahi mamangu anipatie kazi ngumu nifanye, sioshi vyombo, sipanguze nyumba, yani naketi na nasoma.
Her mother Tina Mololo narrates the family journey to prepare Evelyn for her exams.
Nilimweka karibu sana na Mungu, kumuombea kila wakati. I used to have novenas every time and then hata saizi ninaendelea na novena ya siku 21 kuombea watoto wote wanaokalia katika mtihani wa KCPE, wa KEPSA na wale wanaofanya mtihani yao ya KCSE.
As is the practice, candidates were subjected to frequent examinations to test their preparedness. Evelyn's mother was keen and paid close attention to her daughter's study groups and her progress.
So mimi changu chenye nilikuwa nafanya after that, seeing that weekly record, nilikuwa hata kama nimeshikana sana kazini, I used to make a call to the teacher. We talk to him because mwalimu wao wa darasa alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Jimmy. I used to disturb mpaka saa zingine ananiambia, Mama Evelyn, now you are becoming so notorious kwa sababu every details lazima mimi every details nilikuwa na make sure ninaenda.
They now hope that they have given her all the tools to enable her succeed and remain optimistic she will do well.
Mtihani ambao tunaenda kufanya kesho, nitajitahidi vivyo hivyo nifikisha alama ambayo mimi mwenyewe nimeiweka.
Last year's KCPE saw the top candidates score 431 marks. This year's national examination has attracted 3,604,972 candidates, a relatively higher figure compared to last year, which attracted 3.5 million candidates. 1,282,574 candidates will sit for the Kenya Certificate of Primary School Education Assessment, KBC. 1,415,315 will sit for the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education, KCPE. 903,260 for the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, KCSE. And 3,823 for the Kenya Intermediate Level Education, KILEA. Persai Frederick, Sunday Express.
Of course, it is important to note that this is the last cohort of KCPE candidates. That means moving forward, there will be no more KCPE examinations. We want to wish all the very best to those sitting the exams, that is KCPE and KBC. Now, there's some interesting news that will develop this week. The British monarch will jet into the country this week ahead of a busy schedule that will see King Charles III address, among others, what the Buckingham Palace describes as painful aspects of a British colonial past in Kenya. And as the country prepares to roll out the red carpet for the King and Queen, demands for a public apology for atrocities committed during the colonial rule and others committed by British soldiers and companies have begun to sprout. Now, here are details of the monarch's first official visit to a Commonwealth country since he took over the reins of power. King Charles, accompanied by Queen Camilla, are expected to jet into the country this week for a 4-day state visit. The visit will see the King visit a museum dedicated to Kenya's history and lay a wreath at Uhuru Gardens, as well as visit the site of the Declaration of Kenya's Independence in 1963. He is also scheduled to visit Mombasa County. He will meet with local leaders and communities and witness some of the development projects supported by the UK. While bilateral talks between him and President William Ruto will largely focus on the climate change crisis and national security, Buckingham Palace says the monarchy will also address what it describes as painful aspects of Britain's colonial past in Kenya. And as the King prepares to jet into the country, the Kenya Human Rights Commission is demanding he offers an unconditional public apology.
We call upon the King on behalf of the British government and people to issue an unconditional and unequivocal public apology as opposed to the very cautious, self-preserving, and protective statements of regrets for the brutal and inhuman treatments inflicted on the Kenyan citizen during the entire colonial period from 1895 to 1963, and thereafter to date. Such an apology is a critical step in acknowledging the pain and the suffering of the people of Kenya.
The civil society organization also wants the royals to commit that the British taxpayer will foot reparation costs for all victims of the atrocities.
We further demand effective remedies for the atrocities committed to the different groups in the country. This should be in line with the aforementioned UN principles and guidelines, which provide supporting, among others, a number of initiatives.
Though King Charles has made 3 previous official visits to Kenya and also privately, this is his first visit as a monarch to Kenya and a Commonwealth nation. The official program of King Charles III in Kenya begins on Tuesday. To some politics now. Political drumbeats played out this weekend with a section of women leaders from Meru County imploring the Senate to uphold the impeachment of Governor Kericho County. Meanwhile, Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo has reiterated his call for Nyanza region to back President William Ruto for the presidency in 2027 for the sake of the region's development. Here are details from the political landscape as the weekend concluded.
Sunday morning in Nairobi. Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo was attending a church service in Nairobi's Kayole Estate. And after the service, the CS called on Nyanza region to elect the president in 2027, saying he had proved his commitment through development projects in the region.
Because he has given us a sense of belonging in this government. Let us create an environment of peace so that the government can deliver on its agenda. But come 2027, depending on the performance of this government, please let us change the paradigms so that this time round we vote for Ruto and become an integral part of his second term.
Elsewhere, a section of women from Maui, Nigembe, South Meru County are appealing to the Senate to impeach Governor Kericho County. They argue she was impeached due to her incompetency and not as a result of her agenda.
Senate wafikiria mambo ya mama wasiturudishia yeye huku Meru juu tuko na shida kubwa na sisi ndiye tunajua shida ya huyo mama.
Even during the second impeachment we stood with her and we said let's give her a chance. The probation period can even go to a year.
Meanwhile, in Narok County, Kenya Kwanza allied leaders have defended President William Ruto's foreign trips, saying his engagement with other world leaders has resulted in gains for the country.
Jameni watu wangu, wakati Mheshimiwa Ruto amechukua uongozi, amepata serikali haina pesa. Na baba mzuri ni yule anaenda kutafutia familia, si ndio?
Hapa kaunti ya Narok sisi tuko imara na tuko tayari kwa sababu tunataka kufanyia hawa watu kazi. Ndio hata president akisimama anajua akona watu kwa ground ambayo wanachikilia.
And in Kajiado County, State House Controller Katole Metito has denied allegations that he is interfering with the runnings of Kajiado County government. Metito is urging Governor Joseph Olelenku to quit using him as a scapegoat.
Na mimi nimesema kwa kila jukwaa, wale wako kwa maofisi, fanyeni kazi ile mlipewa. Mkiletewa kitu ya county, ya barabara, mupitisha haraka sana. Mkiletewa pesa ya maji, mupitisha haraka sana. Mkiletewa ya hospitali, mupitisha haraka sana. Nyinyi msichukue lawama kwa sababu najua mnapitisha na haitafanywa.
Hata kama senator hataongea, watu wa Kajiado tutaongea, maana tutauliza mali ya umma, tutauliza pesa yetu imeenda wapi, na tutauliza kwa ujasiri.
Finally, former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga is calling on Kenyans to remain peaceful despite the rising cost of living.
Tunaiombea amani nchi ya Kenya. Tunaombea amani kwa viongozi wetu hata wa serikali. Tupate kuwa na amani. Hali ya maisha imeenda juu sana. Elimu ni ngumu.
He was speaking after attending a church service in Kasarani, Nairobi County.
Let's go back to the exams that kick off tomorrow, but of course on Not Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashujaa has condoled with the families of 5 KCPE candidates from Arap Moi Primary School in Kericho, Kericho County, who died in a boat tragedy. In a statement, Mashujaa has pledged to ensure investigations into their deaths are conducted and anyone found culpable held responsible. This comes ahead of the commencement of KCPE examinations tomorrow.
The death of 5 KCPE candidates in a boat tragedy in Kericho County has sent shockwaves across the country, with Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashujaa now cautioning school administrators against exposing learners to risky activities. Mashujaa is further appealing for calm and patience from the affected school, families and communities, maintaining the government will take the necessary steps to ensure safety of all candidates in the country. Elsewhere, Mandera Deputy County Commissioner MacDonald Koech says the exams preparations are complete with adequate number of personnel to man the examinations. He said despite the anticipated El Nino rains and isolated insecurity in certain areas of Mandera South, the government is ready to deliver the exams without a hitch.
Mahali kuna hotspots, tumeongeza security officers kuhakikisha kwamba we have a conducive environment for our candidates.
Meanwhile, Busia County Director of Education James Ekalio has confirmed that preparations have been made in all 7 constituencies of Busia County, with a total of 81,755 candidates expected to sit the exams. Speaking in Busia during an inspection of the preparations, Ekalio revealed that they have put in place sufficient measures to address the issue of flooding in Budalangi if it occurs.
We have done thorough sensitization and briefing of all the contracted professionals, the invigilators, the supervisors, center managers, and even the heads of department at the county level. And we expect to deliver very credible exams.
And in Kilifi County, activities at Marereni Secondary School in Magarini Sub-County came to a standstill after 17 teachers protested delay in payment of their salaries by the institution.
The memo was issued to BOM teachers stating that the salary for October and November will be paid next year, January, and the payment has no specification because it is indicating that the salary will be paid upon capitation of the school.
The move seen as one that will interrupt final preparations for candidates sitting KCSE examinations. Kasi Chanamasha, Sunday Express.
Still on education matters, a section of Azimio legislators have opposed the proposed school fee increment for high school for the year 2024. The proposed increment by the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association, that is KESHA, in all categories of secondary school, if adopted, will see parents with children in county and extra-county schools feel the pinch of the high-cost fee rise of 25,488 shillings. Azimio legislators say this proposal is punitive to parents who are already struggling with an overbearing cost of living.
The last few days has stirred up different debates among the members of parliament after the Kenya Secondary School Head Association suggested a fee increase for all categories of secondary school starting in 2024. According to the proposal, parents or guardians will have to cough up to 19,626 Kenyan shillings more per year for national schools, 25,000 shillings for extra county and county schools, and 5,000 shillings for the day schools. Speaking at different events, Mwingi Central Member of Parliament Gideon Mulyungi says Kenyans are already suffering from the high cost of living and this increment will add up to their day-to-day burden.
Mvua ikokosekana, hakuna chakula. Na wewe kazi yako ni kuongeza school fees, kuongeza unga, kuongeza mafuta. Tunakuomba funguza gharama ya maisha.
His sentiments were echoed by Yatta Member of Parliament Robert Basil.
Tunamwambia rais, tafadhali elewa wananchi wanaumia, rudisha karo ya shule mahali lipo, ama kama inawezekana teremsha karo ya shule. Wananchi hawana chochote.
Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino reiterated that the government should instead offer free education to ensure all Kenyan children get an opportunity to go to school.
Hawa tu kazi yao ni rahisi. Hakikisha tu wasome. Masomo tu kwa sasa.
Pauline Nasimi for Sunday Express.
Well, now, informal settlements along Nairobi River are often worst hit during floods occasioned by heavy rains. Smarting from such previous catastrophes, residents of Kiamaiko slums in Mathare constituency are implementing flood mitigation measures such as planting bamboo trees along the river. But as Maria Ambo found out during a visit there, residents of the informal settlement are grappling with the paradox of saving what they have now, christened the miracle tree, from illegal logging for income generation.
Deep in the heart of Mathare constituency, Nairobi County, where Nairobi River meanders, an environmental crusader Humphrey is on a mission to save lives. The announcement of the impending El Nino rains was a source of worry.
When the river bursts its bank, automatically people are swept away, houses are destroyed, and leaving a lot of people homeless.
The Nairobi County Government Disaster Management Department had listed Kibera, Mathare, Mukuru and Weruku among 463 areas at risk of floods, with an estimated 200,000 people likely to be affected.
When they sort out, they have the...
Through the Ghetto Farmers, a community-based organization, Humphrey has mobilized the community to plant bamboo trees. Bamboos have proven formidable in floods mitigation.
The reason why they are called miracle trees, you'll find that when they are planted along the riverbank, they hold the soil together. At the same time, they do water purification. Those heavy lead metals which are flowing in the river, they can be able to absorb them.
The Ghetto Farmers have also raised the riverbank on one side by adding soil to prevent flooding during heavy rains.
If you stabilize the riverbank, when you've got the bamboo, then you get the perfect way to be able to protect the river itself.
However, some residents have been illegally cutting the bamboo trees. It is an emotive issue that members of the Ghetto Farmers Group have vowed to stamp out nonetheless.
Tutafua hadi maneno kwa serikali, wajua vile watatatua hii maneno.
78-year-old Esther Mudhoni knows too well the devastation that will visit them when the bamboo trees are wiped out.
Hii miti ikiondolewa ni sinda. Ukiangalia nyuma yako vile nilikuwa nafanya kuweka magunia na hii magunia iwezi suilia maji.
The county government of Nairobi says it has prepared for the El Nino rains by unclogging the drainages around the city. But here, a mound of garbage has formed an island, risking the lives of those living along the riverbanks. This mound of garbage too is a risk to lives should it rain heavily.
Daraja iko chini, mkiangalia mnaona iko chini sana, ambapo sasa uchafu ikitoka na huku inakuja inakwama hapa. Ingeinuliwa juu kidogo, at least hizi uchafu zingekuwa zimepita, sababu si bado penye tumekanyanga sasa kuna maji chini.
The county government of Nairobi has been warning residents living along the riverbanks to vacate to safer places. Seems easier said than done.
Kuama ni pesa na sina hiyo uwezo ya kuama. Tunaomba tu Mungu, pesa itapatikana na tutaama.
Environment conservation being a collective responsibility, the Ghetto Farmers hope the greater common good of conserving bamboo trees to mitigate flooding will outweigh the selfish interests of illegal loggers.
When it is wet season, it sucks in the water. When it is dry, it releases out the water. I embrace the idea that people should be able to plant the bamboo along the riverbank.
Maria Ambo reporting for KBC Channel 1.
And of course, the government has since revised down the alert for El Nino. Indeed, according to President William Ruto, the focus now is on heavy rains, not El Nino. On that note, we take a first breather on Sunday Express. We'll be back with more, including a special feature focusing on the monarchy that is about to visit in about 2 days. Don't go too far.
All
holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2023. It is now easier to report and surrender. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started. Beat the November 1st deadline. It is your turn to surrender and report qualifying unclaimed financial assets. Pass the baton. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite. It's the World Savings Month. We are thrilled to conclude Savings October with a special dedication to the theme, Saving for a Better Life. Join us for a week full of insightful activities. On 27th October, we will be at Kihumbwini Grounds in Kangemi for Savings Market Day from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. On 29th October, join us for the Nairobi Marathon. And on the 31st of October 2023, tune in to KBC Channel 1 for our Media Focus Day from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. for insights and information of why and how you should save for a better life. October 2023. Save for a better life.
Oya. Auntie akona ka forehead. Akona the mark of quality.
Ameke rough denel mshetani over.
Nataka kumaliza mambo hiyo wedding.
Kwanza kiongea kitu kiambia diriki sana. Rosi pole.
Umenimaliza kama chai kwa kikombe.
Sisi zote zimebaki December, September, October. Wanaona, I know my Israel.
Ni kama tu nikuje nikwambie uko na kichwa kubwa. Sasa makosa si
au sio? Ndio manake. Okay.
Every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on K.
Welcome back. You're watching Sunday Express. A section of leaders from Makueni County have called for an equal share of revenue generated from national parks and game reserves. Speaking in Makueni, the leaders, among them Area Senator Dan Maanzo and Kaiti Member of Parliament Joshua Kimilu, faulted the pronouncement by President William Ruto that Taita Taveta County will get 50% of revenue collected from Tsavo National Park. The two leaders termed the move discriminative, saying other counties bordering the park, including Makueni, Kwale and Kitui, also ought to benefit from the proceeds. They want a meeting between leaders of the state counties and the Kenya Wildlife Service to agree on a revenue sharing formula. This story and more in our County News Roundup.
The sharing of revenue from the Tsavo National Park is brewing a storm, with leaders from Makueni led by Senator Dan Maanzo, Kaiti MP Joshua Kimilu, and Nzambani Member of County Assembly in Kibwezi East Harrison Mutie, saying residents from Makueni County continue to bear the brunt of human-wildlife conflict.
We really want not to have any more deaths or injuries or destruction of fruits by wild animals. And it is very, very important that Mutua now takes action, now that is the new Minister for Wildlife.
Watuwekee fensi ya kutosha. Mahali serikali imefaulu kuweka fensi na inatenganisha binadamu na wanyama, na shamba yetu ni kidogo kuliko ya wanyama. Na wanyama ni kubwa sana, wakirudisha wanyama huko watakaa.
Meanwhile, in Kakamega County, Governor Fernandez Baraza has expressed strong support for the full implementation of Teachers' Collective Bargaining Agreement, recognizing the importance of addressing teachers' welfare.
When you come here as leaders who appreciate the value of teachers, lazima tawakilisha kule mbele, and for me, my passion is to ensure that our teachers are both in primary and secondary schools, their welfare is actually addressed fully.
Elsewhere, a section of residents of Nakuru are calling on the national government to crack the whip on land cartels operating in the county.
Tukaahidiwa kuwa ate kuna digitalization itafanywa ambapo itatoa hiyo shida yote ya titles na ile mambo ya nini illegal land allocation. Tunajua ni kuwa resettlement inastahili kuwa imeanza saizi, kwa sababu serikali ilisema inastahili kuwa by December kila kitu yoyote kuhusiana na resettlement.
In the meantime, West Pokot County government has begun the distribution of relief food to residents, families and schools affected by banditry in Chesogon, Pokot Central, along the West Pokot Elgeyo Marakwet border.
Kama gavana nitachukua jukumu langu kuona kwamba tunashirikiana na viongozi wengine, yale itatakikana tufanye lazima tutafanya kwa uwezo wetu wote. Kama kaunti na serikali kuu lazima tufanye, tuone kwamba shule zote hii imefunguliwa na pia amani imedumishwa katika sehemu hii.
Elsewhere, His Eminence Archbishop Makarios of the Orthodox Archdiocese of Nairobi has called on parents to be vigilant with the monitoring of their children during this long holiday.
Parents who are here present because they are giving me this very wonderful chance to assist their children in education.
And residents living around Isili Airbase, Kibereli Lane in Nairobi are decrying what they say is deteriorating sanitation and insecurity.
Kwa eneo lote hili la Airbase hakuna choo cha umma. Kwa hiyo watu wanakuja kutafuta mahali pa kujisaidia mahali popote. Basi choo cha umma kiwepo katika eneo hili ili kupunguza ama kuondoa tatizo hili.
Finally, the county government of Mombasa, in partnership with stakeholders, organized a beach cleanup exercise in Nyali Beach to raise awareness of plastic pollution.
The government, we are also finalizing on the beach management bill that will give responsibilities to hotels and any commercial enterprise that is at the beach and the groups that are working here to ensure kuwa ile sehemu yao ya bahari wameweka safi.
So to invest in recycling practice, because plastic again is wealth, and so we also have very, very good companies that are able to recycle plastic into other reusable materials.
Joan Junge for Sunday Express.
Mchezaji wa Loto Moto.
Mungu awabariki sana.
Ni wengi wanakushukuru bila hata wewe kufahamu.
Niliona Mungu wa ajabu ameshuka.
Ni wengi wanaokuaminia.
Imejaa, imebaki, yani hamtasabi.
Ni wengi wanaokuombea ushindi.
Hawa ndio niachiwe na mama yao wakati aligojeka kwa muda.
Ni wengi unaowagusa kwa kuwapa afueni na imani ya maisha.
Asante na Mungu akubariki pia.
Ni wengi unawatembelea.
Through hii program ndo tunajua vitu zingine.
Na imani yako inawapa amani.
Akaaga juu ya kansa.
Ushindi wako ni wa wengi.
Roma niendanga, Roma.
Asante mchezaji wa Loto Moto.
To report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2023.
Nilete at least mtu bwana mmoja tu katika wanaume wote wenyoko duniani, nipe mmoja.
Enda kwa chai na mkate. Si pombe. Ndugu yangu wa kuzaliwa toka nitoke akaambua ati mimi ndio nimemroga ndio asipate watoto.
Sasa mezimwi na mitukula itakufuata.
Pass the baton. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Sunday Express Sports. My name is Daniel Wahome. Now, Alphonse Kigen and Evelyn Chirchir were crowned the winners of the 20th edition of the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon, held today in Nairobi. Kigen clocked 2 hours, 10 minutes, 18 seconds to win the men's title. Moses Mwangi finished second in 2 hours, 10 minutes, 26 seconds, while Patrick Kipchirchir was third in 2 hours, 11 minutes and 59 seconds. Evelyn Chirchir won the women's race in 2 hours, 24 minutes, 31 seconds. Martha Simiu finished second in 2 hours, 26 minutes, 45 seconds, 4 seconds ahead of Aurelia Cherotich, who finished third. Justus Kiprop and Jacqueline Chalal won their half marathons. On to cricket, where Canby's Waraka and Stray Lions were among the standout teams in the multi-season Nairobi Cricket Association Awards Gala that was held last night at the Sikh Union Club. The colourful NPCA Gala featured teams and individuals who performed exemplary well over the past 4 seasons.
Canby's team scooped majority of the awards, including the 2022-23 season, which saw the Eastleigh High School troops sweep the board with victory in the 50 overs league for their A side in Super Division, the B team in Division 1 and development team in Division 2. Stray Lions A were fitted for clinching the 50 overs Super Division league in the 2021-22 season, ahead of runners-up Canby's A.
It's something that NPCA normally holds annually, but due to some unavoidable circumstances, we were not able to hold this award. So today, we are clearing all the backlog, plus for the current season. So in total, we are doing a awards ceremony for 5 seasons.
Sikh Union Development received a standing ovation from the audience for scooping their maiden league title in Division 3 during the 2023-24 season. The gala also featured individual winners in the past 4 seasons, among them Ruaraka's high-flying professional Sachin Gill, who was the 2023-24 50 overs league's most valuable player. For Sunday Express, I'm Fred Njogu.
From cricket to hockey, where the national women's hockey team enhanced their chances of qualifying for the next Paris Olympics after beating Zambia by 4 goals to 0 in the opening match of the Africa Hockey Olympic qualifiers at the University of Pretoria in South Africa. The 4 goals came courtesy of Flavia Mutiva, who had a brace, Lucy Wangeshi and Maureen Okumu, who scored a goal in each half. The team will now face Ghana in their second game tomorrow. However, the men's team started their campaign on a sour note, losing by 2 goals to 0 to Egypt. The 2 goals were netted by Adel Ziad and Ragab in the 40th and 55th minute, respectively. The Kenyan side hopes to perform well in their second match against Zambia tomorrow. The winners will be joining France, Australia, the Netherlands, India and China, who have already sealed their places at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games.
That goal is in the net, and that should be that.
Well done, well done.
And on to motorsport, where Kericho County clinched a second World Rally Championship title with a round to spare at the Central European Rally, won by Hyundai's Thierry Neuville. Belgian Neuville took his second victory of the season by 57.6 seconds from Rovanpera.
Different cars, didn't he?
Yeah,
Kalle Rovanpera won the World Rally Championship for a second year in a row by finishing second on the Central European Rally behind Thierry Neuville.
That was enough to seal the deal. And just look at what it means to everyone at Toyota.
Neuville claimed the spoils in the inaugural 3-country asphalt rally that saw the WRC compete across the Czech Republic, Austria and Germany in one event for the first time.
With the champagne, There we go. Great to see them back to form.
The Belgian took his second victory of the season by 57.6 seconds from Rovanpera.
First of all, really is to be at the finish. It was a very challenging, tough weekend out there, but I think
overall done a very good job, good consistency, which basically paid off.
However, the result was enough for Rovan Pera and co-driver John Haltunen to become only the 6th pairing in WRC history to defend the world title after Toyota teammate and rival Elfyn Evans failed to outscore the 23-year-old Finn.
I'm feeling really good. I think this year is, for me personally, more important than last year. The competition was tighter. We did really good job.
Presenting M Sport Ford World Rally Team, Martin Yabayoya and Oit Tanak.
The podium was completed by M Sport's Oit Tanak, who finished 1 minute 52.8 seconds behind Noville.
Now it is time to celebrate!
So once again, the champagne is out. Terrific weekend for Thierry Neuville, as it was as well, of course, for our new...
And you watch all the action live on KBC Channel 1. And there is one more round of the World Rally Championship to come, and that is Rally Japan. It's coming on the weekend of the 16th to the 19th of November, and that is going to be the season finale. Now, moving on is that South African giants Mamelodi Sundowns will take a slender 1-0 advantage to the second leg of the African Football League semi-finals against Al Ahly on Wednesday, the 1st of November. Tapelo Maseko netted the lone goal for Sundowns in the 52nd minute of the first leg played this evening at the Loftus Versfeld Stadium in South Africa. The winner in the final will meet either Wydad Casablanca of Morocco or Esperance of Tunisia, who are currently playing their first leg semi-final in Morocco. That match is live on Y254.
Looks like a really exciting player for the Sundowns fans to enjoy this season. We come again. Seko once more, it's a brilliant strike, it's a stunning goal. And Mamelodi Sundowns have the breakthrough in this semi-final.
What a goal. Great goal by Seko. They thought he was going to pass the ball, they didn't was expecting those passing, and this is what we were talking about. Just surprising, do something.
Now, moving on is that Ephraim Mashujaa is a champion of the Maridadi Motors Inua Boy Child Golf competition held at the Royal Sports Club. The tournament was organized under the theme Remembering the Forgotten Boy Child in the Society.
Handicap 20 Ephraim Mashujaa managed a score of 41 points to snatch the overall Maridadi Motors Inua Boy Child Golf competition title from the hands of Erastus Toronjo, who was named the best male player, with Rafael Maura taking the runners-up prize. Matching that feat was Beatrice Waweru, who was the best lady in the one-day tournament, having played better than Sophie Mbochi, who was second in the ladies category. Bernard Omondi was the gross winner. Faith Nyagaki was the best junior player in the tournament that attracted 232 golfers, with Margaret Mureu taking home the nearest to the pin title.
I cannot say I did something special. What I can say is I found the holes. Sometimes you don't get them, other times you get them.
Milka Masharia was the best player in the sponsors category.
Inua Boy Child is a campaign that seeks to ignite positive masculinity in the society. We want to remind the men that we have a divine responsibility to take care of lives. If you look at the history of mankind and the wars that man have ever fought, men were fighting for very simple reasons.
Meanwhile, Agnes Wangeshi Mushiri was the overall winner of the pink target shooting competition held at the Kirigiti shooting range. Wangeshi defeated more than 100 other shooters to lift the overall title in the one-day tournament organized to support cancer survivors in the country.
Breast cancer is not a killer disease. When you realize you have it earlier enough is better. So it's good to visit the nearest hospital or a clinic to get checked. It's good to be checked annually for you to be sure that you're okay health-wise.
The tournament will be held annually as the ladies continue to support especially breast cancer patients.
When women come together, great things happen. So if we can support each other in society as women, absolutely great things happen for them. So we have a calendar of events upcoming, and we call upon as many women and as many partners to join us so we can do it even bigger and better the next year.
The event also supports the less privileged women and girls in the society.
And so that's the sport for tonight. Tomorrow morning on Sports Tech, we'll be having conversations, and they will be around the Secretary Generals of the National Olympic Committees in Africa. They're meeting in Mombasa next week. So a conversation about Kenyan teams and their competitions globally, and also see if we can catch up with the Kenyan hockey teams that are down in South Africa. But besides that, my director Amos has said that I must update on what happened in the English Premier League tonight. Manchester City got a 3-0 win over Manchester United. So that's a summary for it, and we'll be talking a lot more sport today. But I know next week, in the coming week, we'll be delving a lot into the visit of King Charles III, who's going to be in the country from the 31st of October to the 3rd of November, 4 days. And this is going to be a fourth official visit by King Charles. And the previous 3 visits, he came in as Prince of Wales, the heir to the throne. Now he comes as the monarch and the head of state of Great Britain, the United Kingdom, and the dominion that he holds over. It's his first visit to a Commonwealth country. So it's a big visit, and we are going to be talking about that so much starting tomorrow into Friday. John Jacob Kericho, I know O'Brien Kimani was out in Nyeri, and he was trying to trace the footsteps of the late monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. Jacob.
All right, of course, that story is what we'll pick as we wind up the bulletin. Of course, thank you very much for joining us tonight. But let me leave you with this piece. On February 6th, 1952, a major operation was underway at the Buckingham Palace in England. The operation, code-named Hyde Park Corner, was about the death of King George VI, who died in his sleep at Sandringham after a long battle with lung cancer. As this was happening, a young princess, aged only 25, was enjoying an African safari at the Treetops Hotel deep inside the Aberdare Forest in central Kenya, which was a British colony. What followed next was a flurry of activities to break the news to Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary and plan her return to England for the coronation. O'Brien Kimani retraces Queen Elizabeth's footsteps in Kenya. We leave you with that piece. Good night.
On a cold, chilly morning on 31st of January 1952, a sickly King George VI was at the Heathrow Airport to see his daughter Princess Elizabeth and her husband Prince Philip as they boarded a British Overseas Airways en route to Kenya. Little did they know that they were bidding goodbye to each other for the last time. Aged only 25 and completely inexperienced, the princess and her husband were en route to Kenya, New Zealand and Australia as part of a Commonwealth tour. However, this was never to be. After arriving in Nairobi, the princess was whisked by British forces who had been assigned to guard her entourage at a time when Mau Mau freedom fighters were raiding for a face-off with the British forces over land and labor exploitation.
I had a personal encounter, so I had the privilege of asking her how it was when she visited Kenya in 1952. And from her own mouth, she told me she rode by train up to Ndarugu, and from there was by car to Nyeri, and then to the Treetops, and spent the night at the Sagana State Lodge. It brought back memories, because when I visited her at Thika Sports Club as chair, after her lunch date with us, she actually wrote 5 letters thanking the chair of Thika Sports Club for having hosted her at the club. Except for the date and the letterheads that were used, the wording was the same. When she went to Sagana State Lodge, she wrote a letter to Thika Sports Club saying, I wish to thank you most sincerely for the wonderful hospitality that you gave me when I visited Thika Sports Club. Signed, Elizabeth II.
According to Dr. Nyamon Joka, who is a cultural historian and a member of the Kikuyu Council of Elders, the princess boarded a train to Thika, where she was to inspect various British manufacturing interests before heading to Fort Hall, present-day Muranga. However, the trip was deemed too dangerous, forcing the princess to change plans, opting to travel by road to Nyeri.
One thing I am sure is that she wasn't given the whole picture of what was happening in this country. Remember, Sir Evelyn Bering was brought from Malaysia to come and quell the uprising of the Agikuyu in Kenya. The late Sir Derek Erskine was brought from Palestine to come and quell the uprising of the Agikuyu against the colonial government. And when, this is what I have read, and when the two gentlemen met, they said, dealing with the Agikuyu, we only need 3 months, and we'll finish with them and go back to our stations. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be that easy, because in 1956, Sir Oliver Littleton raised his hands in the British Parliament and confessed that the British war against the Agikuyu of Kenya, the Brits were not going to win. And that is when the Littleton Constitution was passed, giving the right to Africans to elect members to the Legislative Council.
The princess arrived at the treetops on the 2nd of February 1952, according to official records at the hotel. The British monarchy spent the day watching and counting wildlife at the treetops, where, according to records, 40 elephants were counted, made waterbucks and 50 rhinos. On the 3rd of February 1952, Princess Elizabeth attended a Sunday service at the St. Philip's Anglican Church in Narumoru that lasted about 2 hours and 30 minutes.
They go to the coronation procession. I was 15 at the time, and with my dad and mum and my brother, we decided to go. We sort of spent a night sleeping on the streets of Nairobi, waiting for the next day for the procession. We obviously didn't go to the service in the Abbey, but we were among the crowds who were waiting and watching the procession, which was, for a 15-year-old kid, quite exciting.
Jim Barney, who is a member of the St. Philip's Church, says most of the items used during the service are still intact and kept in a safe location.
Well, I would expect him to refer back to the time his mother was here. I would expect him possibly to refer to the fact that over the years the British Army have been training here together with the Kenyan Army, so there's close ties there. And I'd hope he would want to strengthen those ties.
The church, which was opened in 1949, has maintained its Victorian design with its mahogany doors. Inside the church, an old piano and the large Bible that was read during the service are still intact, together with the pulpit. After the service, the royals retreated for lunch at the Narumoru River Lodge, which is less than 5 kilometers away. The hotel is still operational and welcoming guests. While the Narumoru River still flows, the famous trout fish, which was in abundance, is no more due to overfishing and pollution upstream. In the evening, the royals retreated to the treetops for a rest after a busy and a hectic day. Meanwhile, the Mau Mau fighters' call for freedom and land redistribution was growing and gaining popularity in central Kenya. Inside the 10 Downing Street in London, UK Prime Minister then Sir Winston Churchill was drawing up a plan on how to quell and suppress the Mau Mau uprising. On the 4th of February, the royals embarked on a tour of the expansive Aberdare National Park, visiting various points in the park, among them the fishing lounge, which was famous for trout fishing and a vantage point for game viewing. Then, the UK royal family had a picnic lunch next to the Queen's Caves, which were also used by Mau Mau freedom fighters to organize and launch surprise attacks on British forces and members of the settler community, according to Geoffrey Kariuki, Customer Relations Officer at the Aberdeen National Park.
These caves were discovered by the Mau Mau. This is where they used to hide through the caves, so that they could not easily be spotted by the British forces. So this is where they used to hide. And during the time when the Queen was coming in, this is one of the places that they had the intention to bring her on her way to Treetops Lodge in 1952.
Princess Elizabeth and her entourage decided to come over here to have a look at the famous Magura Caves that were used by the Mau Mau fighters as a hideout. And exactly this location is where she was served her picnic lunch. And according to historians, part of what was on the menu was smoked fish and mashed potatoes. And thereafter, she went down to have a look at the Magura Caves. And as she was coming up, these caves had already been renamed as the Queen Caves. Today, they're still as intact as they were back in 1952.
History tells us they were here for around 1.5 hours at most before they proceeded to the treetops, because by that time she was tiring and she was on her way to get to the hotel, because we are still around 46 kilometers away to where the treetops is.
The Princess and Prince Philip retreated to their room eating at the treetops for dinner. On the 5th day, the Princess spent the day meeting various dignitaries and getting briefs from senior colonial government officials. She also took time to visit the Sagana Fishing Lodge, now Sagana State Lodge, which had been donated to her by the colonial government as a wedding gift. For the last 3 years, the treetops has remained closed. And this is a hotel where Princess Elizabeth went to bed as a princess and woke up as a queen. This hotel carries so much history, not only for this country, but also for the British monarchy. And so the question is, for how long will this facility remain closed to the public? Meanwhile, at the Sandringham royal residence, the health situation of King George was getting worse, causing concern among his handlers. On the night of 5th February 1952, King George VI breathed his last at his Sandringham residence in Norfolk. British Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill was briefed and oversaw the operation codenamed Hyde Park Corner, meant to handle the news of his death. Meanwhile, in Nairobi at the Government House, now State House, a telegram was sent breaking the news of the death of the King. However, the telegram could not be decoded because the keys to the safe holding the code book were unavailable. On 6th of February 1952, reports reached the Prince's Secretary Martin Chatteris about the King's death. A shocked Chatteris called Sagana State Lodge, where the monarch had gone to visit. He briefed Prince Philip about the King's death. However, the Princess was not briefed about the death up until 2:45 p.m. when the Prince gathered the courage to inform his wife about the unfortunate death of King George. The Outspan Hotel holds a special place in the British monarchy. It is here where Prince's Secretary Martin Chatteris was lodging back on the 6th of February 1952. He received a telegram informing him about the death of King George. And this is where he contacted Prince Philip, who was staying at the Sagana Fishing Lodge with his wife, Princess Elizabeth, to inform him about the death of King George. It is said that more communication came from London informing the Queen in waiting that she needed to return to England to prepare for the father's burial and the coronation ceremony. Elizabeth and her entourage drove to the Nanyuki airstrip, where she flew aboard an East African Airways Dakota to Entebbe, Uganda. After a 2-hour delay due to bad weather, the Royals boarded another flight to Heathrow Airport in London. After the burial and coronation of the Queen, a state of emergency was declared in Kenya after Mau Mau freedom fighters increased their attacks on British installations and colonial offices. This led to mass incarceration of thousands of Kikuyus in Nyeri, Kiambu, Murang'a and Nyandarua districts.
Twaigatirwo kuo 1952 tukiumirio ni thirikari ya muthungu tugicokio ku reserve kuria twathire kurio ni thina muingi muno tondu kuu ni kuo ndoneire ndutu kirika ni ndutu muno na ng'aragu nyingi muno maitwaga githiaga kurimia ndia irio nigetha tuone irio ore agicoka akinyitwa akioho mieri 6 ni thirikari iyo ya muthungu ni undu wa guthi guturimiria irio ndia atari na pasi ya chibu.
Jogu Githinji was only 8 years when his family was ripped apart by the colonial army. He remembers that day with a lot of pain and regret. The British Army conducted major operations that resulted into the deaths of thousands of Kenyans.
Igemwira ere Kenya sore handu ha Ngeretha tondu akiri kingi ere Kenya sore tondu na gituri haki haria watihirio hatingicoka kiria watunyirwo gitingicoka narikia kuga sore arihe andu aria mateire indo ciao bururi tondu mari maturaga mandikagwo maritwo maturaga mathiaga kwiyandikithia maritwo ma wabici.
Githinji says for King Charles' trip to Kenya to count, the UK government needs to apologize to Kenyans for the heinous act committed by the colonial government when his mother Queen Elizabeth II ruled the monarchy. Today, as King Charles visits Kenya, many are waiting to see what legacy his trip to Kenya will leave, or will it just be another royal tour to a former colony by British monarchy? The fact that King Charles has picked Kenya as his first overseas trip to a Commonwealth country is a sign of the deep relations that exist between Kenya and the United Kingdom. For Channel 1, I'm O'Brien Kimani.
To report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority UFAA on or before November 1st, 2023. It is now easier to report and surrender. Visit www